Hello everyone and welcome to SJIS English Checkpoint Seminar 2021. The focus of this seminar, we will be focusing on the checkpoint examination format and also the type of questions and answering techniques. Now, here is an example of a cover page for paper 1. Paper 1 is the non-fiction paper with the code 1111/01. If you can see, the code will be indicated on your cover page. Okay, and the time allocated would be 1 hour plus a 10 minutes reading time. The marks allocated for this paper is 50, and the marks for each question will be indicated in the brackets just next to the question. So let's move on to the questions for the paper. In your paper 1, it consists of 2 sections. Section A with a reading comprehension, and the marks allocated are 25 marks. You will be having structured questions based on the text given, and you will have one summary to write. You may be asked to either write a direct summary where you will have to summarize the text in about 80 to 100 words. Or you could be asked to list down the points first in one question and then summarize the points written in about 30 to 50 words. You will also have section B in your paper 1, and the marks allocated for this would be 25 marks. So your section B, you will be required to write an essay. And since this is a non-fiction paper, you will be getting essay questions related to probably article writing, formal letters. You could be asked to write a review regarding a movie, a book, or maybe an event. You could also be asked to write an argumentative or a persuasive essay. So for section A, there will be structured questions based on 2 texts, text A and text B. Here are some types of questions that you could be asked. You could be asked to provide the meaning of words, or you could be given some direct questions where you do not need to really crack your head to find the answers, since the answers are quite explicit or stated clearly in the passage. All you need to do is look for some keywords, use some keywords, and look for the answers. Don't worry, I will be showing you some examples of questions. You could also be asked some opinion-based questions where you will need to infer what the writer is trying to say and come to a conclusion. So in this type of questions, you will need to recognize some implicit meanings. You will need to explain and comment on and also analyze writers' effects, meaning the way writers use some stylistic and other features of language and structure in the text. So here this is an example of the text, the 2 texts that you can get for your non-fiction paper 1 reading comprehension. So text A and text B, as you can see, they are quite short. And here are some examples of questions. So let's look at this question. Look at the second paragraph. Give one word which shows that nobody knows the exact number of animals dying because of plastic each year. Now, this is an example of a question asking you for the asking you to provide meaning, or they have given you the meaning, you just have to provide the word. So let's look at the second paragraph of the text and see which word suits the meaning. Nobody knows the exact number. So this is the second paragraph. So what word do you think would suit the meaning of nobody knowing the exact number? Yes, here you go. This is the word, and the answer is estimated, which means a rough guess. Let's look at the second question. In your own words, explain why marine animals eat plastic. Okay, this is an example of a question which is a direct question, and the answer is explicitly stated or clearly stated in the text. So let's look at the text. Why do you think marine animals eat plastic? Here, you could find the answer in the second line of the second paragraph, perhaps mistaking it for a tasty treat. Therefore, marine animals eat plastic because they mistake it for food. Okay, since the question says in your own words, therefore please try to avoid writing word by word or taking word by word from the passage and use your own words. This is one way of us knowing that you have understood the passage when you write the answers down in your own words. Good. Let's move on to this question. Give one noun phrase which suggests that plastic causes animals to become weak and vulnerable to predators. Now, here you have to be very, very careful, okay, to read the question, whether it's asking for one word, one noun phrase, or one sentence. Okay, one noun phrase means a small group of words. So you do not really need to write a whole sentence. And even when they ask for one word, please avoid writing down the whole sentence. Okay. This will allow you to avoid wasting unnecessary time by writing too much. And please pay attention to the number of marks allocated here. If they are given you 1 mark, then just answer according to the 1 mark. Since in paper 1, you are given paper 1 section A, you're given, we would advise you to spend only 30 minutes, and for section B writing another 30 minutes. Here's another example of question where they could ask you to tick either 1 box or 2 boxes. Depending on the question, it could even be 3 boxes. So please pay very careful attention to the question. If the question says 1 box, then tick only 1 box. If the question says 2 boxes, then please tick only 2 boxes. If you tick more than 2 boxes for this question, you will not be given any marks for it, since the examiner will not know which is the exact box that you have chosen for your answer. Now, this is an example of a question where you will need to infer on the writer's effect. You will need to analyze the writer's effect. So they would give you, or you would get, a few examples of sentences from the passage like this. They can't swim, they can't forage, they get weaker and weaker. So what effect does the writer create by using these 3 short sentences? So you could answer, the writer is trying to create a dramatic effect or give a sense of urgency. Usually, when the writer uses short sentences in the text, it would be to create suspense. It could be to create a sense of emergency, or the writer is also trying to create a dramatic effect depending on the context of the text. So here the question is allocated 1 mark. Therefore, probably you could just give one effect that the writer is trying to create. So you could either answer, in these lines, the writer is trying to create a sense of urgency, or the writer is trying to create a dramatic effect. Now, let's go on to the summary writing. Remember, earlier I mentioned that you could get 2 types of summary, either one of those 2 types. So this is the other one where you will need to list down some points, okay? And while you're listing down these points, you will need to paraphrase them first and list them down, okay? And then in the next question, you will be required to write the summary or summarize the points that you have written here of up to 40 words, depending on the question. So if you look at this question, write a summary of up to 40 words about what was done to help the turtle. Okay, so, and in this question, it says make a list of what was done to help the turtle. So here you have a few points, perhaps more than 5, but in your summary, they have mentioned include 5 points from your list. So this makes things easier for you. You do not need to read the passage again. You just need to get your answers from this list and put them down into one paragraph. Always remember, for your summary, you only need to write it in one paragraph. And always remember to use your own words as much as possible, meaning you will have to paraphrase the points taken down from the passage, which I'm sure you will have already paraphrased them down when you're writing it here. Now, let's look at paper 2. Okay, paper 2 is a fiction paper with the code 1111/02, and the time allocated is also 1 hour with 10 minutes reading time. Hence, you are advised to spend half an hour for each section in this paper as well. So this paper also allocates 50 marks, and the marks for each question will be shown in the brackets next to the question. So as mentioned earlier, since this is a 1 hour paper, you are advised to spend 30 minutes for section A and 30 minutes for section B. So in paper 2, as mentioned earlier, section A, you will have a reading comprehension, and the marks allocated would be 25 marks, and you will be asked structured questions. And then in section B, where you will need to write an essay, the marks allocated are also 25, and you will be asked fiction-based essays, for example, a narrative perhaps, or descriptive or informal writing, informal letter with narrative and descriptive elements. Now let's look at section A, the types of questions for section A. The types of questions that you could be asked could be the same as paper 1, but here in paper 2, you may be asked to write a little bit more since you do not have a summary in paper 2. So you could be asked meaning of words, some direct questions, or even opinion-based questions where you will need to use inference, recognize implicit meanings, explain, comment on writer's effect, and also support your answers with examples from the text. So here is the example of text for paper 2. Now this is a narrative story, and if you notice, this one text alone is quite long. So let's look at the example of questions. Give an example of alliteration from lines 42 to 48. Right? So this is an example of a direct question. And if you know what alliteration means, I'm sure you will find the answer in no time from the text. Now, the next question here, Anjali understands her daughter well. Give 2 examples of how the reader knows this. Support each part of your answer with quotations from the whole text. Now, if you look at the marks allocated here, it's 4 marks. So, and the question says give 2 examples. 2 examples, but 4 marks. And the question also states support each part of your answer with quotation from the text. Therefore, you have to provide 2 examples, and for each of these examples, support it with a quotation from the text. Therefore, you will need to have 4 points here in your answer to allow you to get this full 4 marks. Again, I repeat, if the question says support each part of your answer with quotation from the text, then for each answer or for each of your point given, provide 1 evidence from the text. Now, let's look at the section B, writing. In paper 2, this is an example of a narrative writing. Write a story about arriving in a new place and meeting someone for the first time. So you will be given, or you could be given, some points to help you plan your essay better. This is for paper 2. If for paper 1, non-fiction, you could be asked to write argumentative essays or factual essays or articles and so on. For each of your essays, you will be given a space here for you to plan out your essay. And it is very important that you plan out your essay first, so that when you go to your writing, when you get into your writing, your points are well organized. So here are some answering techniques that you could use in answering your questions. For reading comprehension, please bear in mind that every answer can and should be found or inferred directly from the passage. In other words, do not try to draw conclusions from outside knowledge unless the question requires. So for example, if the question says, in your own opinion or to your own knowledge, what do you think the character could have done differently? Or what do you think the authorities could have done differently to handle the situation? So for this kind of question, the answer may not be directly in the passage. So you can use your knowledge on this particular issue stated in the text to answer the question. Otherwise, please use the information in the text. It's very important for you to read the instructions carefully. And when you're attempting reading comprehension questions, it's always good to read the questions first. This will help you to look for relevant answers while reading the passage. In order to avoid losing time more, as you will be reading everything again to look for answers if you read the passage first. Attempt the easier questions first. Do not spend too much time trying to answer difficult questions, because it may take up a lot of your time. And remember, you only have 1 hour for each paper, and you're advised to spend half an hour for each section of the paper. Get back to the questions later that you were not sure about after you have answered the easier ones. it is very important to make use of keywords in the questions so that these keywords will ensure or will make it easier for you to look for the answers, especially for those direct questions where the answers are clearly stated. After you read the questions, make sure you highlight the headings, phrases, and keywords because this can help you in answering the questions as I mentioned earlier. And always remember to answer in full sentences. For your summary writing, always remember to have a title for your summary and start your summary with one simple sentence of introduction of the topic. And then please ensure that your points are paraphrased. You can paraphrase by using synonyms or synonymous phrases. You could also change the structure of simple sentences or turn complex sentences into simple sentences, or you could even combine the sentences. Always remember, for summary writing, you only need to include main points. Therefore, you do not or you will need to exclude or omit personal opinions, ideas, and inferences. Do not use points out of the text. You may use some transitional words to ensure a smooth and logical flow of ideas. Once you have written your summary, check your summary for any grammatical, punctuation, and spelling errors. And end your summary with a simple sentence of conclusion. One sentence will do. And this is a very important thing, write within the word limit. Now, here are some answering techniques for essay writing. Look closely at what the question is asking you. Read the question carefully. Determine what type of essay you're required to write. Is it analytical, expository, persuasive, narrative, descriptive? Now, if it is paper 1, then you will know that you're supposed to write factual essays. And if it's paper 2, then you know you will need to write either descriptive or narrate or essays which includes descriptive or narrative elements. Once you've determined what type of essay you are supposed to write, next you need to determine your audience. This is crucial because then you can get your tone and style of writing that appeals to your audience. For example, let's say in your paper 1, you are asked to write an article for your school magazine. So who would be reading your school magazine article? Your fellow friends from school, teachers, and even parents. Therefore, the words that you use, the style of writing, should suit all this audience that are going to read your text. And remember, you are given a space to plan your essay. So brainstorm ideas and plan your essay in the space provided. As mentioned earlier, this will allow you to be more organized when writing your essay. Now, for each essay structure, it is advised for you to have one paragraph for your introduction, your main body paragraphs. You are advised to write 3 to 4 paragraphs, depending on the question, and the last paragraph for your conclusion. So in total, you are advised to write about 5 to 6 paragraphs only. This will allow you not to waste too much time in writing as well. Shape and craft language within paragraphs, structure ideas between them to achieve particular effects with purpose and audience in mind. Now, you know, if you're writing a factual essay, for your body paragraphs, each paragraph should have one main idea and 2 to 3 supporting details. Use a range of sentence types for intended purpose and desired effect. I am sure all of you have learned the 4 types of sentences, which are simple, compound, complex, and compound complex sentences. Use a range of these sentences. As mentioned earlier, remember we have seen writer's effect. When the writer uses short sentences consequently, it is to create a dramatic effect or to create a sense of urgency or suspense. So that is an example of using different types of sentences for an intended purpose or desired effect. Also, you can use, or you are advised to use, a range of punctuation marks and grammatical choices. This is to enhance and emphasize meaning for your essay, to aid in cohesion and create a wide range of effects for your essay. Of course, only use the punctuation marks if you know how to use them correctly. Ensure that your spellings are all correct throughout the text. You are advised to use ambitious or complex polysyllabic words, meaning a little bit more difficult vocabulary. This will also ensure that you get more marks instead of just using very simple words throughout the text. It is very important that you improve your vocabulary by reading a lot of materials to help you write a good essay. That's all for this seminar. Hope you found it helpful. I wish you all the best in your upcoming examinations. Thank you.